The last few Speakdoms I've done here on Speakdom Saturday have been, some of them have been talking about death, and I've talked a lot about my parents passing and how it affected me. And I don't want these all to be gloomy and negative. I want these to actually help people, though, and be real. And I always try to spread a positive message. The problem is that life isn't always positive. And this is one of the things that I kind of want to talk about, because I've seen some people send me messages, tweets, and comment, about my parents passing and to talk more about it. And some people have been asking me, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with a death in the family? How do you deal with a parent, a brother, sister, sibling, cousin, best friend, even pet dying? How do you deal with it? What did you do? And the truth is that everybody's different. So I can't sit here and tell you what to do or what I did. I mean, I can say what I did, but everyone's different. And everyone copes differently. Everybody's different. That's why when you have a friend who's going through some kind of pain, it's always best to be more inquisitive and ask more questions than actually tell the guy what to do. Oh, you should just exercise. You'll feel better. No, you probably won't. Maybe if you go to the gym, you'll think about the past relative and you'll start crying. Or whatever the case is, you'll get emotional. The truth is that for me, the pain of losing my mom and dad never really goes away. You never really get over it. You suppress it. You focus on other things, whether it be your relationships, friendships, hobbies, work, whatever. Whatever you're doing in the moment. And when you're doing something in the moment, it's at the forefront of your brain. You're not really thinking about tragedy. But once in a while, especially when you're alone, because loneliness is a scary freaking thing. I know a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. I know that for a fact. But when you're alone, or when you see something that reminds you of them, all that pain comes back. And the pain's never going to be as bad as it was during the early days. When my mom passed away, I was in pain for a long time, years. But the first few months were really tough. I remember one of her friends, the day after she died, brought out this green dress she used to always wear, this house dress. I started crying because she always wore that dress. And she always brought like a vibrant life to the household. When my mom died, my dad went through a major depression. My dad was suicidal. I had to call the cops once. He said he was going to kill himself. And they almost Baker acted him. They put him in the hospital. He was okay, but it scared me. I was in the middle of work. I had to drive home. And it was scary. And he went through a depression because my mom, his wife, was everything to him. And he's old school. He wasn't born here. He's from Cuba. And he in Cuba, it's kind of an old school kind of mentality where the woman cooks and cleans and the husband goes to work. It's just old country style. So when my mom died, my dad didn't know how to cook or clean. He struggled. He always had somebody there to clean his sheets for him. And my dad just went into a depression where he was sleeping all the time, depressed, wouldn't shower, just really bad. I was depressed too, but not like this. And, when my dad died, I remember I got the message at 6 a.m. when I was at work from his caretaker saying he passed away. I left work. I drove immediately to their house. I did not look at his body. He was in the bedroom. I did not look at his body. Same thing with my mom. I've never seen my parents' dead bodies. Now, some people are probably thinking, okay, well, what about the funeral? Well, they were cremated. I never got to see their dead bodies. And I'll be honest with you. How some people say, oh, if you look at the body, it makes it real and it helps you heal. That's not the case for me. I don't think I would have been able to mentally challenge. I don't think I could have been able to mentally, not challenge. I don't think I could have been able to mentally accept that. I feel like if I had seen my parents dead, it would have affected me so badly that I would always have that image ingrained into my memories. And I don't want to remember my parents like that. If I remember my parents, I want to remember them for being alive and happy. And yeah, obviously their lives went down close to the end there, but they both died of smoking-related illnesses, which I've talked about before. But it's still one of those things where, hey, I never saw them dead. And and you know, I've had friends of mine who have had like their uncles die and they don't go to the funeral. And the family shuns them. You shouldn't shun them. For some people, it's just they cope differently. And I don't think seeing the dead body in a suit is the right thing for everybody. I didn't. And it hurt for a long time. And it took talking to a lot of my friends from different walks of life. I had atheist friends, I had Christian friends, I had Jewish friends, I had all kinds of different ethnicities, just talking. And when my mom died, when I really decided to get into theology, I really got into like reading the Bible, and because I wanted answers. I was looking for answers everywhere. Didn't really know why God took my mom when I was 22. I didn't understand that. Didn't think it was fair. There was a guy who left a comment in one of my videos saying his dad died at 10. It's not fair. I mean, it's not fair. And you know what it does? It makes you angry sometimes. Like, it makes you angry that some people have their parents. And, like, I have friends of mine who have kids. And, like, oh, we're going to go over to mom's house. So it's like the parents get to watch the grandkids grow up. And they have these great Christmases. And, you know what I mean? These happy Thanksgiving with a big family and a big dinner. I don't have that. I didn't have it. And it hurts. It actually hurts. And I'm very anti-holiday, but it hurts because, not because of the holiday, but because of the emotional connection that you have with these people. The emotional connection you had with your parents or your brother or sister, whatever. It hurts a lot, you know? And it's something that, you know, I went to therapy recently, actually, years later. I didn't go when they first died. I didn't have the money to. When my mom died, I was 22. I didn't have that much money at all. I didn't think I needed therapy, and I was wrong. Obviously, there's no way to really fix this because your mom's not coming back. Your dad's not coming back. There's no way to fix it. But I will tell you that it does get better. Not always. You're going to have your bad days. I talked about bad days and good days before, but it does get better. It really does, genuinely. You get sad and you think about them not being there, and maybe you get angry that they died for whatever reason, spited you or whatever, but, you know, it does get better. It just takes time. And I talked about that in the speaking I did when I first came back to do these, about, you know, how you're having a bad day and then you think the world's coming to an end and you're never going to recover. But the truth is that when you lose a parent that you were close to, it's hard to recover from that. You have to recover and keep trucking and keep working and keep doing your thing. But it's not easy, dude. It's not easy. I still think about that. I have voicemails from my dad still. I don't have any voice recordings of my mom, but I remember her voice. And you know, it really sucks. And sometimes, and this is going to sound very morbid, but sometimes you wish you were with them instead of being here. You wish you were in a better place, whether you believe in that or not. Instead of being here, paying bills and being in pain, you're at least with them. They're no longer in pain. And everybody says, you know, when somebody dies, they're not in pain anymore. It's like, yeah, but I'm still in pain. I'm happy they're not in pain, but I'm still in pain. I'm not trying to be selfish here, but that's how you feel. Because it's a big part of your life. My parents were my worldview. You know how at the end of Titanic, there's that scene where she dies, Rose dies, and then goes into heaven, and her heaven is the Titanic, and she's there with Jack again. And you see all the people surrounding her, right? Great ending to that movie, by the way. If I were to die, it wouldn't put me back with, like, I wouldn't want to go to heaven with, like, some girl who I dated or some friends, even though I love my friends and people, you know, obviously I've been in love before. My idea of heaven is going back to the apartment I grew up in, being in my room, watching cartoons with my mom and dad, either in the other room or in the living room, and I can go out there and talk to them and be around them and play with them and hug them. That's my idea of heaven. And I might never get that until I die, if that is a real thing. I never get it. I guess something to look forward to in a strange, morbid way, but I'm not trying to bring people down. I want to raise you up by saying this. If you are in pain from losing a loved one, it does get better. You get distracted. Nobody will ever be able to fill that void, but if you have a lot of love to give, then by all means give it. whether it be to a girl, guy, child. And it's easier if you have kids because you can give all your love to your kids. I don't have any kids, but you can give all your love to your kids and treat them like your parents treated you or better, you know, and really care for them and take care of them, and maybe you won't leave them early. I guess it would be easier if my parents were alive all the way until they were in their 80s or 90s, and you know, it probably wouldn't be so hard. But you know, it's hard, man, but it does get better. So that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Everybody has their own way of coping. Figure it out. As long as you're not hurting somebody, you can try different ways of coping, keep yourself distracted. But after a while, the elastic of emotion does tend to go back, and it's not so bad. But it's still going to hurt forever. And I do hope, and I already have wrote in my will that I haven't actually written yet, but I'm going to write it in my will that when I die, I want to be buried with my parents' ashes. I want to go into the ground with them because that's where I want to be. That's where I always wanted to be. My parents were my entire life. And even though now I have been without them more than I have been with them, at least from when not really. Not almost, but not really. A few more years and I will be. I'm not that old. At some point I will be. It's going to be different because that was my entire life. And sometimes I think part of the reason as to why I cover this nerd stuff and I like, video games and Dragon Ball and shit's because, you kind of want to be a kid again, because when you're a kid, you have these fond memories of growing up and being into these things and being so innocent, not having to pay bills, not having to worry about any of this stupid shit we worry about now as adults, right? Sorry if I'm talking fast, but that's my idea of heaven. It's just, it has nothing to do with laziness. It's just more so like, being with them. Even if I have to work, even if I have to be the one to work and they live with me for free and don't pay any bills, I would do that in a heartbeat. One of the, I can't really get into this without spoiling it, but have you ever seen the movie AI? I can't watch the ending of that movie. And if you've seen the movie, you know why. After what I just told you, I can't watch it. Because I would give anything to have one more day with my parents. Just one more day so I can talk to them. Because I still have a lot of questions. I have more questions now that I've built up for the past few years than I've ever had. And see them one more time, but it's just not a reality. And it fucking hurts. And if you're out there and you're going through that pain, I know what you are going through. People are going to tell you, oh, I know what you're going through. I'm sorry to hear. They don't know what you're going through unless they've been through it when it comes to something like this. This is a serious thing. They don't know unless they've been through it when it comes to something this strong. But I do. Take care of yourself and each other.